The twin suns burned high above the alien marketplace. Heat shimmered in the air, and thousands of voices rose together in a strange chorus of trade, gossip, and laughter. Stalls stretched as far as the eye could see. They sold glowing crystals, living cloth that breathed, and machines that hummed with secret energy. But in the very center of the market stood a small stall that no one dared to approach. On that stall lay a single fruit. It was red, bright as blood, with a soft silver glow that made it look alive. The aliens called it the fruit of death. They spoke its name only in whispers. Some turned away when they saw it. Others crossed their arms in fear and muttered prayers to their gods. Children were pulled back by their parents, warned never to even look at it. The legend was older than memory. Long ago, the first who touched the fruit had died instantly, or so the story said. Others who tried vanished without a trace. No alien alive had ever seen someone eat it and live. For centuries, the fruit became a warning, a curse, a symbol of death, and so it stayed on that lonely stall untouched. No buyer, no seller. Only a sign carved in alien script: do not touch, do not taste, do not eat. But then something unexpected happened. Through the marketplace walked a human. He was dusty from travel, his clothes torn from long days on the road. His skin was pale, his eyes sharp, and his steps heavy with hunger. He carried no food, no water. His face showed weariness, but also a strange spark, curiosity. The aliens stopped what they were doing. They stared at him. Humans were rare in this part of the galaxy. Some whispered that humans were reckless, strange, and far too bold for their own good. Others said humans did not fear the same things aliens feared. The human walked slowly, looking at the stalls. He did not care for the glowing crystals or the humming machines. He walked past piles of alien bread and bowls of green soup. His eyes kept moving, until they stopped at the forbidden stall. There it was. The red, glowing fruit. The human paused. He tilted his head as if surprised to see something so strange just lying there. Around him, aliens gasped. Some covered their mouths. Others whispered, "No, not there. Not the fruit of death. Stay away, human. Stay away." But the human did not turn back. Instead, he stepped closer. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. His boots hit the dusty ground with steady rhythm. Each sound echoed in the silence, for now the whole market had gone quiet. Every eye was locked on him. He reached the stall. The fruit glowed brighter, as if it knew he had come. The human's stomach growled loud enough for the nearest aliens to hear. He frowned, then slowly stretched out his hand. A cry rang out. "Stop, you will die!" An old alien shouted. His voice trembled like dry leaves in the wind. Another alien, young and afraid, pulled his mother's arm. "He doesn't know. He doesn't know what it is!" But the human did not stop. His fingers touched the smooth skin of the fruit. Warmth spread through his palm. He lifted it gently, holding it high so the light danced across his face. The crowd gasped. Some turned away, unable to watch. Others stepped back, ready to run if the curse spread. The human smiled faintly, his lips curved in quiet amusement, as if the fear around him was more interesting than the fruit itself. He studied it for a moment, turning it in his hand, letting the red glow shine in his eyes. Then, to the horror of everyone watching, he raised the fruit to his mouth. Whispers exploded into shouts. "He is mad. He will fall dead in seconds. The curse will kill him." But the human did not listen. He pressed the fruit against his lips. The glow touched his skin. And then, before anyone could stop him, he sank his teeth into it. The sound was clear and sharp. Crunch. The marketplace froze. No one breathed. No one moved. Time itself seemed to stop. The human chewed slowly. Juice dripped down his chin, shining like liquid silver in the sun. His eyes closed for a moment, tasting. Then he opened them again and swallowed, still alive, still breathing. The aliens stared, wide-eyed, waiting for him to collapse, waiting for the curse to strike. But nothing happened. The human stood strong, the fruit in his hand, and a strange look of calm on his face, and then the unthinkable. He smiled. "It tastes sweet," he said softly. The words rolled across the silent marketplace like thunder. The fruit of death had been eaten, and the eater did not die. The crowd's fear turned to shock. Whispers spread like fire through dry grass. Was the curse broken? Had the legends been lies? Or was the human about to reveal something far more dangerous than death? The suns burned hotter. The fruit glowed brighter. And the galaxy's greatest secret began to crack open, right before their eyes. The sound of that first bite still echoed in the air, sharp, clean, unforgettable. Every alien froze in place, staring at the human who now chewed calmly, as if he had just taken a bite of a common apple. His eyes half closed, his jaw moved slowly, and silver juice rolled down the corner of his lips. The crowd trembled. Some aliens covered their faces, peeking through their fingers like frightened children. Others whispered frantic prayers to their gods. Mothers pulled children close, fathers prepared to run. All of them waited for the curse to strike. Any moment now the human should collapse. His skin should darken. His body should crumble to dust. That was the story they had been told for centuries. That was the story every child grew up hearing. But the human did not fall. Instead, he swallowed. His throat moved. He breathed in deeply and then let out a slow sigh of relief, as though he had just satisfied his hunger. The silence in the marketplace was so heavy it felt like stone pressing on everyone's chest. Even the wind had stopped. Even the distant hum of machines seemed to die away. The only sound was the steady chewing of a man who should have been dead. Finally, the human opened his eyes. He looked at the crowd. His gaze was calm, almost amused, as if he found their fear stranger than the fruit itself. He lifted the half-eaten fruit slightly, letting the silver light shine in the twin suns. "It tastes sweet," he said again, his voice steady, simple, almost careless. Gasps rippled through the market. One alien fainted on the spot, collapsing to the ground. Another dropped the basket he was holding, scattering glowing fish across the dirt. Whispers turned into panicked cries. "It cannot be! The curse is broken! He is no ordinary creature!" Guards pushed through the crowd. Tall, armored, and carrying long weapons, they rushed toward the human, their boots thundering against the ground. "Drop it!" one shouted. "Throw it away before the curse spreads!" But the human only smiled faintly, as though he had not heard them. He took another bite, another crunch, and chewed, ignoring their fear. The guards stopped in their tracks. None dared to touch him. None dared to grab the fruit. They feared if even a finger brushed against it, death would come for them too. The human swallowed again. Then he wiped the glowing juice from his chin with the back of his hand. His face showed no pain, no sickness. Instead, something else was happening. His skin seemed to shine faintly under the light. Cuts and bruises on his arms, old scars from travel, were fading. His shoulders looked stronger, his breathing steadier. He stood taller, his eyes brighter. The aliens saw it. Their fear deepened. The fruit. "It is healing him," someone whispered. "No," another hissed. "It is changing him." The crowd stepped back, forming a wide circle around him. None dared to get too close. The human now stood in the middle, glowing faintly, with the cursed fruit in his hand. He looked around, watching their terror. For a moment he said nothing. Then he tilted his head slightly, as if speaking to himself. "You all fear what you do not understand." The words fell heavy in the silence. Simple, sharp. They cut through the air like a blade. One of the guards finally found his voice. "Seize him!" He must not eat another bite. But when two guards stepped forward, their hands shaking, the human took a slow step back. He raised the fruit to his mouth again, never breaking eye contact. His stare was calm, but it carried a strange weight. A quiet defiance. And then, he bit again. Crunch. The sound echoed louder this time, as if the marketplace itself was listening. The crowd cried out in horror. Some ran. Some fell to their knees. Others simply stood frozen, unable to move, but once again, nothing happened. No death, no curse, no collapse. Instead, the human looked stronger than before. His voice rose not in anger, not in arrogance, but in something deeper, something certain. "This fruit was never death," he said, holding it up. "It was life. You feared it without reason." The crowd erupted in shouts and confusion. Some believed him. Others cursed him. A few began to whisper that he might be chosen by the gods themselves. The human, however, did not care for their whispers. He took one last slow bite, chewing as calmly as if he were alone in a quiet field. And as the last piece of the fruit disappeared into him, the suns above seemed to burn brighter, and the truth the aliens had feared for centuries began to break free. The marketplace would never be the same again. The last bite was gone. The red fruit, once called the fruit of death, was nothing but a stem in the human's hand. The silver juice had dried from his lips. He stood tall, his shoulders straight, his eyes bright with quiet power. The marketplace around him was chaos. Some aliens screamed and ran. Others pressed their bodies to the ground, trembling. A few fainted, lying motionless in the dust. The fear was heavy, but something new had begun to grow inside the crowd, something dangerous. Whispers of reverence. He ate the fruit and lived. He must be chosen by the stars. The gods walk with him. The human looked around, his calm face like stone. He did not shout, did not move quickly. He only stood still, watching the storm of panic swirl around him. The guards, still frozen, didn't know what to do. Their weapons shook in their hands. One whispered to another, "If we strike him, and he does not fall, what will that make us?" The other could not answer, and then the change became visible. The human's cuts and bruises were gone. His skin glowed faintly under the suns. The strength in his frame was clear. He seemed more alive than before. The aliens saw this. They gasped, they cried, they pointed. Fear twisted into awe. A group of old aliens in long robes pushed through the crowd. They were priests of the market, keepers of ancient tales. Their eyes widened when they saw the human. Slowly, carefully, they lowered themselves onto their knees. One pressed his forehead to the ground and whispered, "He is the prophecy, the eater of the forbidden fruit." Others nearby followed, dropping to their knees. Soon dozens of aliens bowed before him, their voices trembling as they chanted, "Chosen one. Chosen one." But not all believed. "No," one guard shouted, breaking the spell. He pointed his weapon at the human, his voice fierce with fear. "He is no god. He is cursed. If we do not kill him now, he will bring death to us all." Half the crowd gasped, half shouted in agreement. The marketplace split into two tides, one of reverence, one of rage. The human said nothing. He only raised the empty stem, showing them what had once been the feared fruit. Then calmly, he let it fall to the ground. The sound of the stem hitting the dirt was soft, but to the aliens it was like thunder. The priest on the ground lifted his head. "The fruit was never death," he said to the crowd. "We feared what we did not understand. But this human, this one shows us the truth," the guard snarled. "Lies, he is a trickster. His kind was never meant to walk among us. Kill him before the lie spreads." He raised his weapon. The crowd screamed. But before he could fire, something strange happened. The fruit's glow, still faint in the juices that stained the dirt, spread in a thin shimmer of light. The glow touched the human's boots, then climbed up his body like gentle fire. He shone, brighter than before, his eyes fierce now, sharp as blades. The guard froze, unable to pull the trigger. His hands trembled, his weapon heavy as stone. His knees buckled. He fell forward, bowing against his will. Gasps filled the air. "Do you see?" cried the priest. "Even the warrior cannot raise his hand against him. The fruit has chosen him." Aliens began to chant again, louder now. "Chosen one. Chosen one." The sound rolled across the marketplace like a storm. But the others, the fearful ones, screamed back, "Demon! Monster! Curse!" The market turned wild. Aliens pushed and shoved, some kneeling in worship, others grabbing weapons ready to fight. Fear and faith clashed like fire and water. Through it all, the human stood still. He did not kneel. He did not shout. He only spoke, his voice clear above the chaos. "You call this fruit death," he said, his words simple, steady. "But for me it is life. You bow because you fear. You shout because you fear. All of you are the same. Fear has ruled you for too long." The words cut deep. The crowd grew quieter, though anger still burned in some. Then slowly the human stepped forward. Each step was calm, but the crowd moved back as if pushed by invisible force. The chanting grew softer. The shouting died down. All eyes followed him. At the edge of the market, a new sound rose, a sharp horn, deep and commanding. From the distance, armored soldiers marched, their banners flying high. The crest of the alien High Council shone on their armor. The priests fell silent. The crowd stepped aside in fear. The council had come. The human stopped, standing tall as the soldiers surrounded him. Their leader, cloaked in black and silver, pointed at him. "Seize the human. Take him to the council chamber." Gasps spread again. The priests bowed lower. The fearful aliens cheered for his capture. The divided crowd became one in silence, watching the moment unfold. The human did not resist. He only looked at the soldiers with calm eyes, his voice low but clear. "Take me to your council," he said. "Let them hear the truth themselves," and with that, the fate of the forbidden fruit and the fate of the galaxy moved from the marketplace to the highest rulers of the alien world. The chamber of the alien High Council was nothing like the noisy market. It was vast, silent, and heavy with power. Black stone walls rose high into the darkness. Blue fire burned in tall pillars, casting strange shadows across the floor. At the far end stood a long platform where the council sat, their robes flowing like rivers of night. The human was brought inside by guards. Chains of glowing metal bound his wrists, though strangely the metal flickered as if it resisted holding him. The guards pushed him forward, but he walked calmly, his head raised, his eyes sharp and fearless. Dozens of aliens filled the chamber seats. Some were priests, some were merchants, some were generals scarred from wars long past. All had come to see the human who had eaten the fruit of death and lived. The chamber buzzed with whispers. He defies the curse. No one survives it. Is he human? Or something more? The leader of the council, a tall figure with pale skin and golden eyes, raised a hand. Silence spread like a wave. His voice echoed deep, every word heavy. Human, he said, you stand accused of breaking the law of our ancestors. You ate the forbidden fruit. Tell us why. The human's chains rattled as he lifted his hand slightly. His voice was calm, simple. I was hungry. I saw food. I ate it. A ripple of shock moved through the chamber. Priests gasped, generals frowned, merchants muttered. The answer was too plain, too direct. The council leader's eyes narrowed. Do not mock us. That fruit has been cursed since the first era. No being touches it without death. Yet you live. Do you deny the power of our ancestors? The human tilted his head, studying the council. His words were quiet but strong. I deny your fear. The fruit was never death. You feared it because you never dared to taste it. The chamber erupted. Voices clashed like thunder. Blasphemy, cried the priests. He speaks truth, shouted a merchant. Silence him, yelled a general. The council leader raised his hand again. The noise died. His golden eyes locked on the human. Our records speak of humans long ago, he said slowly. Your kind walked here before even we built these halls. The fruit appeared with them. And then the fruit killed. Entire villages wiped out. The curse was real. Do you say our history is a lie? The human's gaze did not waver. I say your history was written in fear. Perhaps the fruit killed because you believed it would. Perhaps it was never meant for you. But for me, he lifted his bound wrist slightly. It gave life. Gasps again. The priests shook their heads, whispering prayers. The generals clenched their fists, furious. The merchants leaned forward, greedy curiosity in their eyes. The council leader leaned back, his face unreadable. If what you say is true, he said softly, then our people have lived in fear of nothing for thousands of years. The words echoed through the chamber. A silence heavier than stone followed. One of the priests rose, his voice shrill. This cannot be allowed. If the people learn the fruit is safe, they will question everything. Our laws, our gods, our power, it will all fall. Another priest shouted, Kill him now before the lie spreads. But from the shadows an old historian stepped forward. His robes were dusty, his voice cracked with age. No, let him speak. All eyes turned to him. The old alien raised a trembling scroll, its edges torn, its ink fading. I have studied the oldest records. They tell a different story. The fruit did not kill the first humans. It strengthened them. It was the aliens who feared their strength. And so the story was changed. The fruit was called death. To hide the truth, the chamber shook with cries. Some shouted in disbelief. Others demanded proof. The historian turned his tired eyes toward the human. You are the first to show them the truth again. The fruit was never cursed. It was ours to fear, but yours to embrace. The council leader's golden eyes flashed with anger, but also something else. Uncertainty. His power trembled in that moment. The crowd of aliens began to split just as the market had. Some looked at the human with awe. Others glared with hatred. The human spoke again, his voice steady, clear. Fear has been your ruler for too long. You hid the truth, but you cannot hide it forever. One fruit was enough to break the lie. What will happen when your people taste it for themselves? The chamber erupted again, louder than before. Worship, rage, fear, and hope clashed together. The guards held their weapons tight, unsure if they were protecting the council or the human. The council leader rose to his feet, his robe sweeping the floor. His golden eyes burned as he pointed at the human. Enough. He will not walk free. We will decide his fate. Lock him in the stone prison until the council reaches judgment. The guards pulled the chains tighter, though the glowing metal flickered strangely, almost unwilling to hold him. As they dragged him away, the human glanced once more at the council. His calm words lingered in the chamber like smoke. You fear me because I ate the fruit. But your fear is the true curse, and one day it will destroy you. The heavy doors slammed shut behind him, and in the silence that followed, the alien High Council realized that the galaxy had changed forever. The stone prison was carved deep beneath the council hall. Its walls were dark and cold, made from rock that hummed with strange energy. The air was damp, heavy, and filled with silence. No prisoner had ever escaped from these cells. Chains of glowing metal wrapped the human's wrists, pulling him down to the center of the floor. The guards stood outside, their eyes sharp, their weapons ready. Yet the human did not look afraid. He sat quietly, his back straight, his eyes calm. He breathed slowly, as if the cell were not a prison but a place of rest. Above him, through cracks in the ceiling, he could hear the rumble of voices from the council chamber. The leaders still argued over him. Some wanted him dead. Others wanted to study him. A few whispered he was the chosen one. Their voices blended like storm winds, but down below the human remained still. Hours passed. The guards grew restless. One finally broke the silence. Why do you sit so calmly, human? Do you not know what awaits you? The council may kill you by morning. The human lifted his head. His voice was quiet, steady. Fear belongs to you, not to me. The guard's jaw tightened. He turned away, unsettled. Then footsteps echoed down the prison corridor. Heavy doors groaned open and the council leader himself entered, his golden eyes glowing in the dim light. Behind him walked priests and generals. They stopped before the cell, staring at the man who had eaten the forbidden fruit. The leader's voice was deep, cold. Human, the council has spoken. You must confess your trickery. Admit that you brought false power into our city, or you will be executed at dawn. The human tilted his head. His chains rattled softly. I tricked no one. I ate because I was hungry. It was your fear that made it a crime. The priests hissed in anger. One shouted, blasphemy! He mocks us again. But before they could speak further, the council leader raised his hand. He gestured to one of the guards who stepped forward carrying a small iron box. The box glowed faintly, locked with ancient seals. When the guard placed it on the floor, the priest whispered nervously, and even the generals looked uneasy. The leader crouched, unlocked the seals, and opened the box. Inside lay another fruit, red, glowing, alive with silver light. Gasps filled the chamber. Even in the prison's darkness, the fruit pulsed like a beating heart. This, the council leader said, is the proof. If you truly believe your words, eat it again. If you survive, we will know you are something beyond a man. If you die, the lie ends here. The priest cheered at the idea. The generals nodded grimly. The guard stepped back, afraid to be near the fruit. The human looked at the glowing fruit in silence. His face showed no fear, no hesitation. Slowly, he raised his bound wrists. The glowing chains sparked, resisting, then loosened as if unwilling to hold him. He reached forward, his fingers brushing the fruit. Warmth spread across his palm. The alien stepped back, their hearts pounding. And then, without pause, he lifted the fruit to his mouth and bit down. Crunch. The sound echoed again, sharp, final. The priest screamed. Some turned away, certain he would drop dead this time. The guards clutched their weapons, waiting for the curse to strike. The generals clenched their fists, torn between awe and fear. But the human chewed calmly, swallowed, and looked straight at the council leader. His voice was steady, clear, you see? No curse, no death. Only life! The chamber erupted. Some cried out in horror. Others shouted in belief. The priest shrieked that he was a demon. But a few voices in the crowd trembled with awe. He is chosen. The fruit accepts him. The human stood slowly. The glowing chain shattered, falling to the floor like broken glass. The light of the fruit spread across his body, brighter this time, until he looked as though fire lived inside his skin. His wounds were gone, his muscles stronger, his eyes sharp, burning. The council leader stepped back, his golden eyes wide. For the first time, his voice trembled. Impossible. The human raised the half-eaten fruit high, his voice cutting through the chamber like a blade. You built your laws on fear. You called this fruit death. But I tell you, your fear is the true death. It weakens you. It blinds you. It rules you. The words struck deep. The priests shouted for his execution. The generals argued among themselves. The guards whispered that no weapon could harm him now, and then one young alien, small, weak, forgotten in the crowd, stepped forward. His voice shook, but it carried in the silence. If the human lives, then perhaps we have lived in lies. Perhaps the fruit was never death, perhaps we have been prisoners, all of us. The council chamber fell silent. The words spread through them like wildfire. For the first time, doubt filled their eyes. The human lowered the fruit, his calm gaze sweeping across them. The curse is broken, not because I am stronger than you, but because I was willing to face what you feared. The priests shrieked louder. Kill him! Kill him now before all faith collapses. But the council leader did not move. His golden eyes burned, but inside them was something new, hesitation. And in that moment the human knew. The fear of the fruit was already crumbling. The truth could no longer be contained. The council chamber shook with voices. Priests screamed for blood. Generals barked for order. Merchants whispered of profit while common aliens pressed against the walls, watching with wide, fearful eyes. In the center stood the human, glowing faintly from the fruit's power, calm and unshaken, while the broken chains lay scattered at his feet. The council leader's golden eyes burned with fury but also with doubt. His voice cut through the storm of noise. Silence, he commanded. Slowly the chamber fell quiet. He pointed at the human. If what you say is true, if this fruit brings life, not death, then why did our ancestors call it cursed? Why did they record death after death? Why would they lie? The human looked at him, calm, steady. His voice was low but strong. Because truth is dangerous. Fear is easier. Fear keeps people obedient. Fear keeps them small. The words unsettled the chamber. Some aliens shifted uneasily. Some lowered their heads, unwilling to meet his gaze. Then, from the shadows, the old historian stepped forward again. His fragile hands clutched a bundle of scrolls older than the chamber itself. His voice trembled with age, but it carried clearly. I have read the oldest records, the historian said. Records older than the council, older than our temples, older than our laws. And I will tell you what they say. All eyes turned to him. He unrolled the first scroll. Its ink faded. Its symbols cracked with time. When humans first walked among us, they ate the fruit freely. It healed their wounds. It gave them strength beyond ours. They built homes where sickness did not last. They grew strong, fearless, bold. Our people feared them because the fruit gave them what we did not have. The chamber stirred with gasps. The historian's eyes glimmered. So the rulers of old made a choice. They spread a lie that the fruit was cursed, that death came with a single bite. They burned the records that spoke otherwise. They silenced those who questioned, and they built a new order where only fear remained. The priests shouted, "Lies! Blasphemy!" But their voices cracked with desperation. The historian unrolled another scroll, darker and more fragile. Here, see for yourselves. He held it high so the light of the chamber flames caught its symbols. The first humans who ate the fruit were not cursed. They were celebrated. Our ancestors learned from them, until jealousy and fear poisoned their hearts. The crowd began to murmur. Some nodded slowly, their faces pale with realization. Others looked furious, unwilling to believe. The human stepped forward. His glowing skin made the old scrolls shine brighter. His voice rose, simple but heavy with weight. Your ancestors did not fear the fruit. They feared humans. They feared our strength, so they created a curse to keep you away. But a lie, no matter how old, can only last until someone dares to break it. The chamber erupted again. Some aliens knelt, bowing to him, whispering, "Chosen one, Truthbringer." Others shouted, "Monster! He twists the past." The council leader slammed his hand against the stone table. Enough, these are words, nothing more. What proof do we have that this human speaks truth and not poison? The historian's frail hands trembled as he lifted one final scroll. Unlike the others, it was sealed with ancient symbols that glowed faintly. This scroll was forbidden, hidden beneath the archives. Few have seen it, but I kept it safe. He broke the seal. The scroll opened, glowing with faint silver light. Gasps spread. This, he said, is the record of the first lie. It tells of the day the council of old met and agreed. The fruit shall be called death. None shall touch it. None shall taste it. Those who eat must be silenced. For if they live, they will rise above us. The words echoed like thunder. The priests screamed. Some guards lowered their weapons, their eyes wide in disbelief. The crowd murmured louder, half afraid, half hopeful. The human's voice rang clear, sharper than ever. There is your truth. written by your own hands. The fruit was never death. Your fear was the weapon. You kept your people weak for generations, and now your fear is broken. The council leader's face twisted with rage. He rose from his throne, his robe sweeping the floor like a storm. If the people believe this, everything we built will crumble. Our temples, our power, our rule, it will all burn. The human stepped closer, his glowing eyes locked on the leaders. Then let it burn. If it was built on lies, it deserves to fall. The chamber shook with shouts. Worshippers cried for freedom. Priests shrieked for blood. Soldiers gripped their weapons, unsure whether to protect their rulers or the glowing human, who now stood as a living symbol of the truth. And in that moment, the council leader knew control was slipping. The lie was crumbling. The truth once buried had risen into the light. The fruit of death was never death at all. It was life, and the human who dared to eat it had shattered centuries of fear with nothing more than a bite. The chamber was a storm. Shouts clashed like thunder, filling the high black walls. Priests screamed for blood, their robes flaring as they lifted their arms to the ceiling, calling on gods that had kept the lie alive for centuries. Merchants shouted for trade, already seeing profit in the fruit that could heal and strengthen. Generals barked orders to soldiers who no longer knew whom to obey. And in the middle of it all, the human stood calm, glowing faintly, holding the half-eaten fruit like a torch in the dark. The old historian scroll still lay open on the floor, glowing with silver light. The words could not be denied. The lie of the fruit of death had been written by alien hands, not carved by any god. The curse was fear. The fruit had always been life. The crowd pressed closer. Some dropped to their knees, bowing until their foreheads touched the ground. "Chosen one," they cried. "Truthbringer, free us." Others screamed in rage, their faces twisted with terror. "Monster, demon, destroy him before all is lost." The guards stood in frozen silence, weapons shaking in their hands. One young guard whispered, "If he cannot die, how do we kill him?" Another answered, voice trembling, "Perhaps he was never meant to be killed." The council leader's golden eyes blazed with fury. His voice thundered through the chaos. "You fools, do not believe him. This human seeks to divide us, to make us weak. Kill him now, before his lie spreads to the stars." But before the guards could move, the human raised the glowing fruit high. His voice cut through the noise, simple and steady, yet it carried to every corner of the chamber. "You fear me because I ate what you would not. But hear me, the fruit was never mine alone. It belongs to all of you. It is not my gift. It is your stolen birthright." The words struck like lightning. Gasps spread. Some aliens wept openly. Others clutched their chests as though chains around their hearts had cracked for the first time. The historian cried out, his voice trembling with both fear and joy. "He speaks true. Our ancestors took the fruit from us. But now it is returned." A wave moved through the crowd. Some began to chant softly, "No more lies, no more fear." Others joined louder until the chamber shook with their voices. The priests screamed louder, desperate, "Blasphemy! Stop this madness!" But their words were drowned out by the rising chant of the people. The council leader slammed his fist against the stone table, his robe snapping like fire. "Enough, guards, kill him, kill them all if you must." But the guards did not move. Their eyes were wide, their weapons lowered. The chant of the crowd filled their ears, and the sight of the glowing human filled their hearts with doubt. The human stepped forward. His eyes glowed with silver fire, his voice calm but heavy with power. "You built your throne on fear. You chained your people with lies. But fear is the true death. And today, it ends." The chamber erupted. The crowd surged forward. Priests were dragged down, their screams lost in the roar. Generals shouted, but their soldiers no longer obeyed. Merchants held out their hands, begging for fruit. And through it all, the chant grew louder, echoing like thunder. "No more lies. No more fear." The council leader's golden eyes widened as he realized his power was gone. He drew a hidden blade of black metal, its edge glowing with dark fire. "If the fruit gives you life," he snarled, "then I will take it from you myself." He rushed forward, the blade raised high. The chamber gasped, but the human did not step back. Calmly, he lifted the glowing fruit to his mouth and took the final bite. Crunch. Silver light burst from him, filling the chamber like a storm of stars. The black blade melted in the leader's hand. His knees buckled and he fell to the ground, his golden eyes wide with terror. The human stood tall, shining brighter than the fires in the pillars. His voice rolled like thunder. You called this the fruit of death, but I tell you now it is the fruit of life. You feared it, and your fear ruled you. But I am human, and we do not bow to fear. The crowd roared. Some wept, some shouted, some knelt in worship. The priests fled, their cries drowned by the people's voices. The historian raised the glowing scroll high, his frail hands trembling, tears streaming down his face. And in that moment, the galaxy changed. The lie of the curse was broken. The fear that had ruled for centuries was shattered. The fruit once forbidden was free again, and the human, the one who had dared to bite where no alien would, stood as the symbol of a new truth, that life begins where fear ends.